Continuing on with this awful idea of me reviewing all these Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, we're now on the third one, released in 1990. It follows two characters, Ryan and Michelle, a couple who are driving through Texas, and after an incident at a gas station, they take the wrong turn and they end up, encountering not the Sawyer family. I don't know what their last names are. I guess it should be Sawyer. Still falls off the last movie. But they encounter Leatherface's family of redneck killers.
Yakety yak, don't talk back.
Now, this film has a weird history in itself, and it does explain some of the issues that the film has throughout it. This film was newly acquired by a New Line Cinema at that point, and New Line Cinema really, after the success of A Nightmare on Elm Street and pretty much killing off Freddy and knowing they were going to pretty soon at that point, they decided that they needed to get this property and start writing a script for it ASAP. So that's what they did. They got Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're really hoping to compete with Michael and Jason as the franchises. Those ones are still going on. And they bought this property and wanted to go back to the roots of the first one. This was Robert Shea, the producer, the main head executive of New Line Cinema. And so he wanted this vibe, this atmosphere to go back to the first one. It does not have the first one vibe. I'll give it out right now. This is a very kind of like generic slasher vibe. But he wanted not the comedic tone that the second film was portraying. Understandable, I suppose. But it's like, God, this is the third movie in a franchise, and you guys don't know what you want to be. And so the studio, acquires the film, is trying to get this new mega house, powerhouse that they have with Freddy. They're trying to get this new franchise going. And they also want to make it, gorier, bloodier. Now, this film was the last film, I'm pretty sure, to get the X rating. They had to cut down at least 5 minutes of footage to get the film into its R rating and get it released into theaters. And not only with the film, losing its rating, kind of losing this goriness that it has to it that people were expecting, it also loses kind of this atmosphere of Texas due to the fact that it's filmed in California. And it's really noticeable here, especially just by the landscapes that go on, Halloween does the best job of portraying a landscape as, Ohio or wherever the hell it's supposed to be, as this, suburban, Midwest neighborhood, than Halloween's actually filmed in California. It does a much better job hiding it in that film than this film is able to hide it. Going straight into the positives, our three main characters, because you really only get three here. It's not a band of kids. It's not a band of just, random people that are going into a trip or a family doing something. It was just a couple who made the wrong turn and then ended up encountering a guy who was in the woods with them at the same time. And I knew this was going to kind of happen because I told my girlfriend watching it, they're obviously going to have to encounter more people because it's not just going to be a body count of one, since obviously there's going to be a final girl, so Ryan, see ya. But it's there has to be other people that they're going to encounter because of it. I did not know about this movie though, so I didn't know that Kevin Foyer was going to be Benny, the guy that comes in. So he's a noticeable actor, and we get another noticeable actor, which is Viggo Mortensen, and I guess we'll get into him later on. But you have two pretty notable actors here who I didn't know they were going to be in the film, so at least they kind of elevate the star power a little bit. Three main leads: Benny, Ryan, Michelle. You understand the couple, you like them, they do bicker a lot, but to be fair, I didn't hate them, and it seemed like they were fine enough couple for me to, watch and, get through the time with, hoping that maybe they could get out this situation. And especially when it comes to Benny, he's pretty much the best character in the movie because he's the most proactive, and that's something that you really don't get in a lot of slasher films. And whenever you get this character who is super proactive and knows what they're doing in slasher films, they usually do kind of stand out a little bit. If they're not even someone you enjoy, they're at least memorable. You get this from the Duke and I think it's his name, Jason Goes to Hell. It's hey, I don't know how he knows all this information, but I kind of like the idea there's this guy going down trying to hunt Jason. Same thing when you get the character in part 4 of Friday the 13th when he's saying he's hunting for bears. He could have done a little bit more stuff, but at least he was actually going and trying to look for Jason too. And you like these characters who are hunting down or actually being, I don't know, just they're the ones, they're not just being victims, and they're not waiting to the last 20 minutes of the movie to change not being victims. They were doing a lot throughout the film, and that's always really compelling. It always invests a lot of people into it. I'm sure a lot of people who watch this movie, Benny is their favorite character.
I am very scared of guns, mister, so please do not point that at my face.
How many?
I mean what, OJ?
How many bent, sick fucks like you are there out here?
And another part that'd be really hard to mess up in this department for the franchise is the family. You know, pretty much any family member could be pretty compelling and interesting to watch on screen, as long as you give them some sort of, you know, their own little bit of personality and their own little bit of craziness, and they do have it here. It might not be, they're definitely not as interesting as the family from the first two, and I definitely think that, you know, they completely get outshined by Sheriff Hoyt in the remake, but this family here, they at least have stuff going on. Going back to Viggo Mortensen, this is one of his really early films, and even though the motherfucker should be dead, because in the early part of the film, the first family member you see, Alfredo, who is spying on Michelle in the gas station bathroom, which is why they leave, you know, Alfredo comes out with a shotgun saying he can do whatever he wants at his gas station, and he shoots Viggo Mortensen.
Jesus Christ! Holy fuck, he dusted him! What happened?
Okay, you saw the clip. I saw the movie right there. That guy died. He's dead. I knew that he was going to be part of the family. I knew this was all like a hoax that they were setting up. I said it right on the spot. That doesn't matter. What was he wearing? A bulletproof vest? What? He got shot right there. He's still good for the movie. I'm glad he's in. I'm glad he's here. He should just be dead, though. He's a good part of the family. I like the fact that he's the first one we get to see where he has an actual daughter. And you do see this, like, father-daughter relationship. And they do love each other, they do care for each other. And that really comes out to show. That's what I mean, where he has this, like, Texan charm, or, you know, this father-daughter relationship, but he's also crazy and very violent. So you get his tick, you get his mannerisms, his personality. It makes him not the most memorable family member that you'll ever see in any, like, movie of the franchise, but he at least has something to get remembered by.
How you like Texas? More little nails if you don't stay put.
You get the same thing with his daughter. The daughter is carrying around this little, I'm assuming it's a dead infant, because it's a very small skeleton, but she's carrying around, you know, a baby doll, and it just looks like a dead infant, and she's also very eager to want to get her hands messy and bloody and get some kills in. And that also, you know, that right there. She also has a small little relationship with Leatherface, because it's like, you know, they both are kind of more like kid personalities. That, you see all this throughout the movie. My girlfriend, she fell asleep after, like, the first half of the movie, so I finished it, and then I rewatched the second half with her the next day, and, you know, I asked her if she thought the movie was bad, and she was like, she was, like, kind of debating on it, and I'm like, you know, this is because you fell asleep and you got to, like, have your mind get erased from the first half of the film, and then you just got to go in with a fresh start from the last half. And the last half is where everything that's good that's happening is happening. So it's like that's not fair. I have a debate if this movie is good or not, because you only have a good, like, 40 minutes, which is still a good chunk of the film, but it's not. It should be the whole movie that's good, right? So you have Viggo Mortensen and his daughter, but then you have the other family members. You got Tinker, a guy who's missing a hand, and I guess he's, like, the guy who sets up and builds everything. You got Alfredo, the gas station owner, who is probably the craziest one of them all, and also seems like the most perverted and devious one of them all as well. You have the mom. Obviously, this is something that I had looked up after watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I looked up, like, who is Leatherface's mom? I didn't actually, I expected it to just be like a lore answer, and it was that she was in the next movie, and I was curious. I wanted to see what she was like. You know, she definitely has the physical. You definitely remember her physically, because she comes in on a wheelchair, and she comes in with like the cigarette voice box thing, and she has to talk through it. So that's very memorable. I just wish she was a bit more crazy. You know that she has the domineering, matriarchal personality, and everybody respects her, and she's the authority. But I really wish we just got to see a little bit more of her for that.
He does make the sweetest damn babies, you know.
Junior likes them private parts. We knows what to do with them parts.
Got that right, Mama.
Going into the mix, though, we got a couple things. First, let's just get right off the bat. It's Leatherface. At least he's not in the bad category like he was in the last film. You know, the last film I might enjoy a little bit more, but Leatherface, man, yeah, you weirded me out. I was not impressed with your last outing. This one, they do try to go back to giving him this more scary demeanor, and he is a bit more threatening. And there's actually a nice scene where Tinker, the man with, the metal hand, he yells at Leatherface for not being able to kill Benny when he was supposed to, and then goes and takes Leatherface's walker, his little disc headset thing, and throws it into the oven. And Leatherface, angry at him, instead of being the cowering family member who, bends his will to anything that any single one of his, uncles, brothers, or mom says to him, Leatherface actually gets angry and retaliates. Goes over there, grabs Tinker's hand, his good hand, and puts it in the fire. Okay. This is something we haven't seen from Leatherface so far, and it's actually a little bit interesting to see that he's getting angry, he's growing up a little bit. And so I do appreciate the fact that they're able to give him a little bit of that stepping stone. Other than that, though, I don't like the fact that Leatherface seems to be way more, angry towards the people he's killing. I would understand having contempt towards some family members, especially people who abuse you and who are always lashing out at you. But when it comes to the family members, I really think that Leatherface should be seeing this as a job, and especially seeing this as a job that's forced upon him by his, authority figures around in his life. Because in the entire film, he's constantly doing this chainsaw thing where he's holding it above his head and he's just shaking it, and he's trying to scare the people before coming to him. He'll be 10 feet away from you and just stick the chainsaw up in the air and start walking, and it's dude, stop. You don't need to do that. I know it's iconic in the first movie that he raises the chainsaw before coming down Franklin, and he raises the chainsaw when the girl's on the hooks, and he also raises his arm up with a hammer and hits down the main character, the first guy in the first film. The point is, when he puts his hand up in the air, chainsaw, hammer, whatever, he's putting it up to bring it down and hit. I don't know why this guy's just oonga boonga boonga and just shaking the chainsaw up in the air every single time. Is that what he thinks that Leatherface is iconic for? Is that what the director thinks they're iconic for? I don't need it. I don't like it. And again, it seems like he's trying more to scare him when this is really just a job for him. You should be more scared of them than they are of him, because that's just how he feels. And I think that that's something that this film kind of misses from Leatherface. And if you're going to go the route of you want this angry, scary person, go the route of the remake, and it should be like that the whole way through. Not after 2 movies, now you're in the 3rd one. Leatherface is better than in the second film, but again, just like the identity of this entire franchise, they don't know the Leatherface is the heart of the franchise, and one of the reasons why there is no identity is because Leatherface has none inside all these sequels so far. I know this might sound contradictory because in the mix, section right here, I know this might sound contradictory from me because I just put the family in the good section. I'm only putting the family lore here in the mix section because now I'm kind of confused. I'd almost accept if you were just going to make this, new sequel, and you didn't want to do the same tone as the second film, and you're doing it from a new studio, and you get, the mother, and you get, an uncle, and, maybe, Leatherface's brother with Tex. I get that. Even Leatherface have, a little niece with a little girl. I understand it all. I just think that if you're going to go that way, almost like the remake, you need to go your own route and you need to stick in your own route. You can't start relating to the other films. So when you go and you have all these new family members, but you have Grandpa still, and Grandpa's dead, man. In the other 2 movies, he was still alive. He was still able to, suck fingers and, drink blood. In this movie, they're trying to pour blood down his mouth, and it just pours out. This dude is dead. But I don't understand where, if they have Grandpa, where's Chop Top? Where's Newman's dead body? Where's Drayton Sawyer? Where's the cook? It's just so odd that you would have all these, where are they? That doesn't seem right. So I think that if you're going to go ahead and, I would like to see the mom. I like seeing these new family members, but don't bring in the grandpa. Keep it separate, or actually mix it in and explain what happened to them, if they died, if they got arrested. I don't know, man. If you're going to connect it, or just don't.
Why are you doing this?
Because if you don't poke them, then they don't leak. And if they don't leak, we can't feed Grandpa. Silly.
Okay, the bad stuff in this movie, it's all pretty blatant. 1, there's no gore. This is because it went from an X rating to the R rating. They cut 5 minutes of gore and killing footage. This film still got it was still banned before release at Britain, because Britain they just can't handle any type of like horror films. They just shit their pants whenever something like that comes out. So it was still banned even with the R rating pre-released in Britain. That's what I mean, where you just cut all the good stuff away from this movie. And it doesn't, horror films need to have blood and gore to be good. What about Halloween? About the original film? Who cares? This is not that. This is later on, especially when you get this fucking mediocre shit script. I would like to be able to get something I can sink my teeth into. So yeah, maybe some red corn syrup spewing everywhere. I don't mind. I appreciate that kind of stuff, and I appreciate good effects. And, this film, it needs something else too, because it looks like dog shit. Like, this film looks like a not straight to DVD, I'm sorry, straight to, like, TV movie. That's what it looked like the entire time I was watching, like a 90s straight to TV movie. There's no gore, so it looks like it's being cut for television too and everything like that. And the entire time the film looks like dog shit. It makes sense that the film was being filmed in California because it looked way different than it did inside the first two movies, and especially the sets. The set that it was on, that house, that main one that the family lives in, it looks like a producer's like summer home in California. It's huge. It's beautiful. You walk on the inside, those inside shots, it's a very clean, pristine, nice summer house. Like, it looks really good. And you go upstairs when Michelle is walking through the house, she is walking through a clean house. Nothing like the first movie, nothing like the amusement park den inside the second film. And when she opens up the door to the little girl's room, that one room is covered in bones. Literally, the door's open and you can see the hallway and it's clean. Like, that producer was like, you can mess up one room, and if any of you get these bones in the hallway, all of you are fired. And they just made sure they had the one room dirty. Like, even the kitchen is like a clean area. It doesn't look like the house of the same crazy people that Leatherface was living with in the first two movies. Maybe the mom divorced the dad because he was too messy. Who knows? But like, it seems odd that the movie looks like shit. The sets don't work. There's no gore. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes visually for this movie that would take it a long ways if it was just done a bit better. But it's not. There's no good camera angles. It's not like it gets the feeling of the first one where it's like, feels like it's documentary style, like a snuff film. And then the second one, even though it doesn't have that type of feel, it has, I don't know, there's still enough of Tobe Hooper's personality inside of it that it gives it a different edge. This one, it feels like there is no love in it, which is maybe because the director was fired after like the first 10 days or something, and then had to get rehired because the studio couldn't find anyone else to direct the film. And so it feels like this generic factory work made movie, looks like dog shit, like a straight to TV film. And it's missing a lot of that flair and a lot of that luster that this film needs to even try to carry it, because the film also has a horrible, horrible script. Even the setup. Michelle and Ryan go to the gas station and then they get chased away because Tex says the quickest way out of here is to take this wrong turn route. Why would you listen to this dude? You even say you can just take the highway straight out of here. It's just the entire script. It's not very good. And so you needed more to carry it, and I'm hoping that, maybe if I ever watch the extended version where it has the extra 5 minutes, even if the footage is a little bit raw and a little bit, hard to look at, maybe the gore will at least let me appreciate some of this stuff a little bit more.
All right, now. Okay, don't bruise it.
And the last bad thing, which, it's so annoying to me because you don't need to do it, is the fact that Benny, the survivalist character played by Kevin Foyer, the character that everybody loves throughout the film, he ends up risking his life and sacrificing himself so that Michelle could get away. And he does this while fighting Leatherface in a pond or a swamp, and Leatherface puts his chainsaw through Kevin Foyer's head. Of course, you don't see it because you can't show the gore in this film, but there's a quick little shot of just the chainsaw going through. And, of course, but because test audiences loved him so much, he just survives. He just comes in at the end of the movie and just survives it. And it's crazy. I think that's very odd that he just comes in and he's like, hey, I'm alright. It's fine. It's just me.
Hey, it's me. It's me. It's Benny. Let's get out of here.
You made it!
Close at me.
My man, you are a zombie. That is not how it works. You are dead. I saw it happen. It wasn't, like I said, not very good footage, but I still saw it. So that's a huge thing where it's like, really, movie? Like, even at this point, if I see someone die, they can just come back. Alright, you make the rules, not me.
There's roadkill all over Texas.
Got that right.
So that is Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and this movie is a bit of a rough watch, especially in the first half. You're going to be watching some very dull, bad-looking footage and a very generic to horrible written script. Once Ryan is dead and Michelle is captured, and Benny goes on his tirade to kill this family and save her, it becomes a much more interesting film. But before then, it's going to be a slog, and it's going to hurt to watch. I think this movie is definitely a film that you'll need to watch if you're doing a series run. If there's a film you should skip, I don't think it should be this one, especially, once you get past that first 40 minutes. But man, does the film look horrible, and I'm not going to be rewatching it anytime soon, especially because I rewatched that second half twice. I still think this film is worth a one-time watch, but really only if you're a hardcore horror fan trying to be like me and get some notches in your belt, or if you're a hardcore Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan of, the series and you haven't finished it through yet. Because other than that, you're not going to find any joy or any pleasure in this film. Well, the next film we're reviewing is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4. I've already seen it, and I have to rewatch it because it was so boring I forgot most of it already. So I can't wait to talk about that movie review again. Probably have to read some Wikipedia. Probably have to watch it twice and read a Wikipedia synopsis just to refresh my memory like that. But before then, go ahead and check out my Don't Tell a Soul review. It's just a little indie thriller, and it's a breath mint of a movie compared to these Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. So go ahead, watch that, and tell me what you think about that one. And as I said before, if any of you guys want to throw on a movie review or suggestion for me to watch, I have no problem adding it to the list.